to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Wednesday, January 23rd, 2019. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Common sense tells you that building a strong stock portfolio is predicated on buying when the time is right and selling right before your bubble bursts. And if I was dabbling in the bikini market, I'd definitely be snatching up shares of Mariella Pellegrino right now. Despite the fact that she had 3 convincing wins right in the middle of the season, I think the small misfire she had at the Olympia might have thrown some people off her trail. Listen, this bikini division is completely stacked at every single show, so when someone can reel off 3 straight wins in a single season, it should tell you something about what they're working with. So if she can start this year off looking like the Mariella of last June, mark my words, she's destined to hurt a few feelings before the year's out. Have you heard the saying about sharks not worrying about what other fish are doing on a Monday morning because they're too busy swimming around doing shark stuff? That's how I like to imagine Whitney Jones and how she feels every day. With less than 2 months to go before she puts her Miss Fitness International title on the line for the first time, the most dominant athlete in the division sure looks like she isn't showing any signs of slowing down. At this point, I'm starting to think that Whitney Jones might not be human, because the pace she's been keeping for the last 18 months has to be flat out insane. But as long as she's got it locked in like this, title number 2 feels like it's all but a sure thing at this point. Seeing Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl again is not so subtle a reminder of how important it is to be consistent and dedicated to detail. And I think these pretty much sum up the approach that Charles Dixon is taking into his Arnold Classic prep. For the first time in his career, the multi-time 212 Olympian is planning to hit the open market, so to speak, where he'll get his first crack at knocking off some of the big boys on their proverbial home turf. For a guy like Dixon, who's always had to suck way down to make the 212, this might end up being a really cool process just to see what his body will let him do. And if he can manage to get a good top 6 finish out of the deal, who's to say he won't take his talents to the open more often? I have a guy who works for me that swears by Uber when he travels instead of just renting a car at some airport, because for some inexplicable reason, he feels more comfortable riding in cars late at night with potential psychopaths. But next time he's in Texas, I'll be telling him to shoot Steve Kuclo a text, since he doesn't seem to mind giving out rides. Earlier this week, we saw the King Snake burning up the left lane on his way to Columbus, where he figures to be right there in the midst of things. For me, Steve Kuclo has always been one of those guys who just looks like he's having more fun than everyone else. And I'm sure his post-show victory party would be a whole lot of fun if he can manage to pull out the Arnold Classic victory. And finally, I want to end today's show by wishing a huge get well to the man, the myth and the legend, 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. In case you haven't heard, earlier in the week, the 8-time Mr. Olympia found himself back in the hospital again for what's being described as a level 3-4 cervical spinal fusion. According to sources in the Coleman camp, Ronnie suffered an injury nearly 2 months ago as in an apparent fall inside his home, which caused the discs to herniate and press against his spinal cord. As much as it pains me to see one of the nicest human beings on the planet going through this yet again, well, in my heart of hearts, I know that if there's anyone out there who can get through this, it's Ronnie, and with a smile. So from all of us here at the show, I want to wish you Godspeed in your recovery, champ. You'll be in our thoughts and our prayers. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.